Could these be the best basketball shoes for under 80 bucks? Let's find out. What's up guys, welcome to WearTesters.com official YouTube channel. My name is Evan and today we have a review for these shoes right here. These are the Puma Playmaker Pro. The Playmaker Pro is the cheapest shoe in Puma basketball's catalog and retails for just 80 bucks. If you wanted to pick up a pair, we'll leave a link in the description box below. Now my pair was sent over by the good people over at Bouncewear. Bouncewear is a basketball store that operates here in Europe. They have an awesome online store and physical stores in Belgium, Luxembourg, and France, and they ship internationally. So especially if you live in Europe, and specifically in Spain, this is a great place to pick up all your basketball related Christmas gifts. Now, I was relatively excited to get these in because as a Boston Celtics fan, I had seen Marcus Smart rocking these on court in the last couple games. And I was really curious to see how they would perform on court. Marcus Smart is a Puma athlete, and during the season we've seen him rock the Puma TRC Blaze Court and the Puma Court Rider 2, both of which I've tested and I really enjoyed on court. So if he was subbing out those models for this budget shoe, this one should be pretty good, right? Now there's a couple of details I really love, and a couple others not so much, but let's dive right into the performance review to see exactly how they performed on court.
Let's go!
Starting off with the traction, the Puma Playmaker Pro comes with a solid rubber outsole with this sort of net-shaped traction pattern. As you can see, we have kind of a diamond matrix. And in certain sections of the shoe, those diamond shapes are flattened out either horizontally or vertically to give you specific coverage in those areas. So here towards the forefoot, they're kind of flattened out horizontally, and on the lateral side, they're flattened out vertically, which is exactly what you want. Aside from that, we have a really wide base and a ton of surface area with the court. Now this traction pattern worked really well in terms of grip on court, and I was able to test these indoors and outdoors, and in terms of grip, they worked really well on every surface. But I would not recommend these for outdoor use, because after only a few times playing outdoors, there are certain sections of the traction pattern that are wearing off. No! No! And even though the traction pattern is pretty deep set, so it'll take a while to wear down, I just think this rubber compound is too soft for outdoor use. Now indoors, however, this traction pattern worked extremely well. I got to try it on a couple of different surfaces, and even on the dustiest court, these grip super well. And even on that dusty court, there was no dust buildup on the shoe, which was a pleasant surprise. Now I had absolutely no problems traction-wise. It didn't slide in any moment. There was no particular movement where I was missing some traction. And the traction really adds to the feeling of security and freedom that you have on court with this shoe. But I'll touch on that a little bit more later. The last little thing to mention about the traction is that there are a couple of portions of the sole that wrap around the midsole. They give you a little extra coverage on more extreme movements. So yeah, all in all, the traction on the shoe is really great. Moving on to the cushioning, this is something about the shoe that was a little disappointing because when I pulled these out of the box, one of the first things I saw was the Pro Foam tag on the heel of the shoe. Now we've seen Pro Foam used before in other Puma basketball models, like in the Puma TRC Blaze Court. Now I really enjoyed the shoe and I especially enjoyed the cushioning. This shoe features a Pro Foam midsole and trinamic cushioning housed within. It makes for a really bouncy cushioning system that has a really nice blend of responsiveness and impact protection. So maybe a little unfairly, I was expecting the Playmaker Pro to perform like the Puma TRC Blaze Court, which it doesn't, which doesn't mean it's bad, but it's really different. The cushioning in the Playmaker Pro is really responsive almost to the point of being neutral. There is a little added step in comfort because of the insole of the shoe. It's nothing special, it's kind of flimsy, but it is very spongy. But of course, after playing this shoe for a while, this bottoms out and you're left with that really dense Pro Foam. When I play with these outdoors, I could really feel every impact going through my legs, which is not the best feeling in the world. So again, this is another reason why not to take these outdoors. But when I took them indoors, as long as I was playing on a good court, so either a bouncy parquet floor or a bouncy rubber court, these are gonna work well. But for example, one of the courts I test on regularly is a rubber indoor court, but it's a really hard surface. And there you can really feel the lack of impact protection that these guys have. Now that doesn't necessarily mean this is a bad cushioning system. It's just not what I want out of a basketball shoe, but I can see lighter, shiftier players really enjoying this because that responsive cushioning system really does add to that feeling of freedom on court.
Freedom, 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 oi!
And coupled with that really good traction, you do feel really agile while playing. But again, if you need a little bit more impact protection, this is probably not the shoe for you. Now moving on to my favorite part of the shoe, let's talk about the materials. Now I think I can safely say that for $80, there's no better shoe out there in terms of materials. And this is the main reason I've been enjoying Puma shoes so much lately. Even though there's nothing really premium on the shoe, just the materials they chose to use, the layering and the implementation, and then just the overall design really make this shoe stand out in that super budget category of basketball shoes. In fact, this shoe reminds me a lot of this one right here. These are the Puma Court Rider 2s. And again, there's nothing really premium on this shoe, but again, the materials they chose to use and how they're placed on the shoe make the shoe feel a lot more premium than it really is, and more premium than other shoes in the same price range. And the same thing with this shoe. The Puma Playmaker Pro, as we mentioned, retails for 80 bucks. And this guy right here, the Giannis Immortality 2, retails for about $85. And when you have both of these side by side in hand, you can really see a clear difference in terms of materials from one to the other. Now what we have here is a primarily textile upper with some synthetic leather overlays, some fused reinforcements in high wear areas, as well as some really cool suede accents. Now this construction isn't only aesthetically pleasing, it's also really functional. The synthetic leather overlays add containment to the shoe in portions of the shoe where you really need it. The synthetic leather overlays have you covered on lateral movements here and here. And we have 2 layers of leather in the heel, which help beef up that heel area. As I mentioned, we also have fused overlays in high wear areas like the toe box, which adds containment. Then we can see the implementation of the Puma logo on the side of the shoe, which adds some lateral containment as well. And then we have some synthetic leather reinforcements at the top of the lacing system. Now I really appreciate this because I tend to tie my shoes really tight. And if I don't have something like this, I just chew right through it. And lastly, and this is just aesthetic, but I really enjoyed these details, we have the Puma logo on the tongue in leather, and then the Puma teeth on the back of the tongue. These 2 details don't add anything to the shoe really, but it's cool to see that Puma cares about the design of even their cheapest budget model. Now at this price point, I don't think you can really ask for anything more in terms of materials. The shoe feels really nice in hand, and all of those materials performed really well. They're specifically chosen and positioned to add performance benefits to the shoe. So in my opinion, this is just a great setup in terms of materials. Now moving on to the overall support and containment of the shoe. Again, we have that really wide base.
Thick, with 3 C's.
That keeps you really stable while you play. And one good thing of having such a dense and reactive cushioning system is that it's very stable, adding to that feeling of security on court. And as I touched on before, the materials are all implemented and positioned to enhance the containment of the shoe, which they actually do. And then aside from that, we have a pretty decent heel counter. It's not the beefiest heel counter I've ever seen, but it does its job well. And then we have several lace cables on the midfoot and forefoot of the shoe that pull your foot down into the footbed and keep your foot right where it should be, on the footbed. Aside from that, there really isn't anything else tech-wise within the shoe, but all of these little details working together really do offer a really supportive and secure feeling ride when you're playing. And I think that's the overall idea of the shoe. It feels like a really supportive and secure shoe that's not gonna leave you hanging at any moment. Now moving on to the fit, the shoe does fit true to size, so go with whatever size you usually use with Puma. But it's not that perfect one-to-one fit that you get in like the LeBron 20, for example. There's a little extra space within the shoe, nothing that really affects performance or merits going up or down a size, so just keep that in mind. One last little detail about the fit. I tend to get a lot of pinching on my left foot in this area right here. Most recently it happened to me with the KD15, but I'm happy to report that that didn't happen with these guys right here. Overall, I did enjoy the Puma Playmaker Pro. It is a shoe that makes you feel really secure and agile on court. That traction works really well, and even though there's a lack of impact protection, that responsive cushioning gets you where you need to go on court. Now, would I have preferred a little bit more impact protection? Yes. But that doesn't mean this is a bad shoe. I do think smaller, more agile players will enjoy the setup. It's just not for me. And regarding the materials on the shoe, I really don't think you're gonna find anything better out there at this price point. And again, I just really enjoy what Puma is doing with their basketball shoes. And in my estimation, I think this is what a budget model should feel like. Well, that pretty much does it for the performance review of the Puma Playmaker Pro. Again, this is a really solid budget option, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you enjoying what Puma's doing with their basketball line? Do you think there's a better basketball shoe out there at this price point? Whatever it is, let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. We also now have a Spanish-speaking review channel called WearTesters en Español. So if you think that might interest you, go ahead and subscribe to that channel as well. And until next time, guys, be good.